and if you enjoyed it, I'm thinking about doing some more dumb challenges in games I like. So if that interests you, stay tuned.
Ooh. Well, it's probably fine. Nobody watched it anyway. Well, better late than never, I guess. So, Dead Rising, huh? Last year, I set out to do a task in Dead Rising 2 off the record, a game I'd only played once before, beating it without using any weapons. Despite my lack of skills and knowledge, it went relatively well, and I even managed to be the first to discover a new trick for completing the helicopter fight. Well, I took a look at myself in the mirror one day, and was reminded of all the lovely comments I got from people on that video. All the compliments on my editing, the suggestions for a new microphone, which I didn't follow through on, very sorry, the wishes to see more videos, and especially the wishes to see this challenge done in Dead Rising 1. So, I bought the game on Steam and started doing a bit of research. Then I realized there was no way in hell I'd be able to do this challenge with my skill level of Dead Rising 1. I can't even beat this game when I'm just playing normally. I am god awful at it. I tried playing it properly for the first time a few months back, and I'm just terrible. I've got to really sit down and learn how to play this game before I try to do some stupid challenge on it. Plus, there are other people who have already completed the weaponless challenge, and there's even a guide on how to do it, so honestly I don't think I'd be adding too much here. So, I put that game to the side and began thinking about what else I could do. Then, I remembered that games beyond the first two actually existed, and I turned to Dead Rising 3. A love it or hate it kind of game. I've seen articles calling it the worst Dead Rising game, yet its Steam reviews are mostly positive. No one seems to really give a shit about this game since it came out, and I can't find any challenges online for it at all. I only really know bits and pieces of the story and gameplay, so maybe I should look into it. In fact, no, let's not just look into it. Let's one-up my 2019 self. You did a challenge on a game you beat once? Well, I'm gonna do a challenge on a game I've never played before. What do you think of that one? Dead Rising 3 focuses on combo weapons to a, honestly, slightly ridiculous degree. So how about we dump all that cool shit in the trash and ask the question, can you beat Dead Rising 3 without using any weapons? Let's get to the ground rules. Weapons work a little differently in terms of labeling in Dead Rising 3. Instead of just having the umbrella symbol of a weapon or wrench, there's 16 categories a weapon can fall into. All of these are banned, combo weapons obviously included. I'm also going to be attempting a side challenge in not using any vehicles at all. As per my last video's rules, I consider these to be weapons. Second point is some exceptions to this rule. Survivors act a little differently in this game. Instead of following you to a safe zone and disappearing, they can join you as a part of your squad and fight by your side. They also all have a side quest accompanying them, and won't just join you because you exist. Some of these side quests involve carrying weapons to give to these survivors, which we won't be counting against our rules. I also pick up and drop weapons a lot by accident because trying to pick things up in this game can be a bit tricky. The tutorial also forces us to do some weapon and combo related things, but we'll talk about that when we come to it. Thirdly, regarding survivors, I won't be using any of them. The only time a survivor will be in my party is while I'm escorting them to a safe zone. Those that don't come with a weapon or don't have a weapon included in their side quest will also not be given one. Fourth, we're going for the S rank ending. Can you truly say you've beaten a Dead Rising game if you don't go for the S ending? Everything else is in the clear though. Healing items and combo drinks are going to be coming up a whole lot, and magazines this time around aren't even inventory items. You can only have one active at a time too, killing my magazine strategy from off the record. Regarding healing items, they also have categories this time around, and with this, they also changed the quick step formula. Instead of just being able to pour 2 wines into a blender, you now need an item with the candy symbol in order to make one. And those are a lot harder to come by. Also, like last time, this isn't a 100% run. I completed what I completed and fought who I fought based on my preconceived notions of the lack of time limit, followed by my extreme awareness of the time limit. Last thing, there are full story spoilers ahead, so don't watch this if you're really excited to play a 7-year-old game. The game starts with a summary of the first 72 hours of Los Perdidos' big infection outbreak, because no one can keep this damn zombie thing on lockdown in this world. After that, we meet up with Nick Ramos, our young protagonist, investigating a quarantine area to look for supplies. Nick is in real bad shape for some reason, so we gotta do some munchin' and are then met with our first roadblock. This fence needs to be broken down and the game won't let us attack until we pick up the wrench. Plus side is that we can just drop it immediately and use our fists. Advancing through, we kick down another fence and Nick goes poking around where he shouldn't be, and we're met with a horde of our undead tormentors. Running through, we come face to face with some zombies in our way, and we can finally try out our starting moveset. Surprising no one, it's not great. We do little damage and have no combos, so right now it's better to just run. Finding there's no way out of the tunnel, Nick turns to go back another way and finds himself getting swamped by some adoring fans. After nearly skewering himself, Nick's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day continues as a fucking plane crashes in front of him. Now it's time to run as everyone dies around us. Trying to fight off this many zombies is suicide, so it's better to just run and jump along cars to get away. After finally making it back to the diner, we're met with our ragtag team of survivors. There's Annie, the Zombrex using emo GF Nick is really pining for, Rhonda, Nick's boss from his old mechanic job, Dick, who's mostly just kinda there when you're single player, and the other two. Let's be honest, we know they're the ones who aren't making it out of this. After Dick pulls a Shaun of the Dead and hits the jukebox, the zombies start piling in, and Peter and his mom are quick to become victims. Annie runs off to go do her own stuff, and the tutorial tells us how to make a combo weapon. After making the sledge saw, we can just drop it and move on with our lives. And when I say go on with our lives, I obviously mean run through the street like a maniac. As we lower the barrier, the game tells us to get in the car and start driving to Rhonda's garage. Now, as previously stated, I don't want to use any vehicles, so we're just going to have to back up, get out of the car, and begin a mad dash across the densely populated streets. With how big of a map Dead Rising 3 has, this is going to become an unfortunate commonplace for the challenge. The strategy here is to simply run like hell and hope Dick and Rhonda make it in one piece. I stop at a few stores to start getting a look going and pick up a blueprint. I may not be able to use it, but they're sure nice to look at. After making it to the garage, we learn that the Zombrex chips implanted in Infected don't seem to be doing anything, and that the TV in the garage isn't working right now. After pulling the crowbar out of the zombie head for some reason, we're introduced to Dead Rising 3's Otis/Stacy, Jamie. He's going to be doing the same shit they both do, but he's pretty fun. We're set free here to do as we like for now, so my first stop is to free a safe zone so I can acquire our book of choice for this run, Stunt Devil. Unarmed attack up is really all we've got going for us, so it's unfortunately going to be better than every other book. Clearing this area out shows how easily we can become overwhelmed and swarmed in a large horde, but for now we can deal with it pretty okay. After clearing the safe zone and collecting a tragic ending, we level up for the first time and I unlock combo food, under the impression that it'll be really important to have. I take some time to save Dana from a horde, and then head over to see Anna at the motel. I grab a Frank statue and level up again, putting a pointer to melee and accessing basic combos. We learn about Anna's paint plight, and quickly go around to grab the 3 cans for her. Along the way, I added more to our outfit, saved Bob, Jody, and Crystal, leveled up twice, and found 2 Frank statues. I also had a really difficult time trying to pick this one up, as the game really wanted me to do some gardening for some reason. I pick up Anna and drop her at the safe zone, before going back to meet Rhonda and finishing the chapter. The TV's finally fixed, and we get to meet the guy who is definitely not the bad guy for the game, and is definitely not a part of the government conspiracy that every Dead Rising game has. The gang needs to get to a quarantine station, and the tutorial forces us to make a combo vehicle claiming,
"Can't walk."
I disagree, but I'll make it and we'll move on. Upon making the combo vehicle, everyone gets real excited before I get out and force Rhonda to go on another sprint. I even decide to bring her along to fight our first psychopath of the game, Harry Z. Wong. Now, while writing this script, I went onto Z's page on the Dead Rising wiki and noticed a few interesting tidbits. Despite being the first psychopath the player can encounter in the game, Z is the fastest and also extremely agile. He is particularly harder to defeat at close combat. Make sure you bring a healing item along with you, as Z can easily deplete your health very quickly. Do not bring survivors to this fight, as Z can kill them incredibly fast. He is capable of doing strong melee attacks. And I just have to say, where was this difficulty when I fought him? Z is incredibly easy to fight. He did less than a block of health when attacking me with his powerful melee attacks. Getting up close and punching him in the head was very simple, and Rhonda got hit less than I did. I don't know what happened between the Z I fought and the Z everyone else fought, but the fight totaled about 2.5 minutes. The only slightly concerning part was when he jumped onto his podium and started healing, but he came down on his own. I even managed to grapple him by pure accident. Either way, Z kills himself and we net ourselves another level. At this point, I'm also going to stop talking about my level ups and collectibles, just to make this easier to write and edit. Now is our first venture into cross-city travel, and it is ugly. The game expects you to be driving a pimped out car through this area, so the zombies inhabiting the streets are less than friendly. Getting through the hordes is a big gamble, so flailing about on the controller is about the best strategy I have. Just sprint, jump, and randomly throw attacks out. On the way, I managed to save Margaret, Ian, and Keith. Rhonda gets into a bit of trouble a few times, but it's possible to heal her as long as she's not being mauled. Upon getting to the quarantine station, we're met with the first true horror of this challenge. These fucking bikers. You have to defeat 10 of these assholes, and while they're jetting around on motorbikes and tossing Molotovs at me constantly, it's a pretty bad time. Add to that the fact that being hit by a bike knocks you down, and that they're pretty much impossible to actually hit. The only saving grace is the near limitless amount of healing items sitting around the arena. This is also a good time as any to mention that Nick controls like a car while sprinting. It's hard to stop with ease, and he has a turn radius while trying to turn around it all. It's honestly a little bizarre and quite annoying to get used to. Eventually, I managed to figure out that the kick is a lot better at hitting than any of the other punches. And through a long and painful 20 minutes, I managed to kill all 10 bikers required to pass this mission. Only for Hunter, the fucking gang leader, to drive his Confederate ass onto the stage and fuck my day up even further. Now, Hunter would be next to impossible for me to defeat without serious skill if it weren't for one teensy-eensy little thing. The area the game spawns you at is the perfect area to quite easily cheese him. Let him rev up his bike and charge at you before just ducking behind the barrier. It's incredibly simple to do and allows you to get some pot shots in as long as you don't mind getting damaged a bit. One of the assholes even managed to hit Hunter with a Molotov and allowed me to grapple him for some good damage. Honestly, it made me feel like justice was being served for that last battle. After managing to cheese Hunter to the highest degree, we kill the bastard and Nick throws a Molotov at him in a cutscene. Good thing that doesn't count or we'd be in trouble. After Nick thinks about murder, we wrap this godforsaken chapter up and move on. The chapter begins with our old orphan friend Diego shooting at us in a scared frenzy, before telling us about a plane we may be able to use for our escape. While trying to pick the key up, I thought to myself, it really is nice to be playing a character without a need for Zombrex after Dead Rising 2, so at least that was something we could...
Zombrex.
God damn it. So now we're on a quest for Zombrex. We do some more cardio into town where I save Allison and get a little fancier. I go to find Ravi in the freezer and he asks me to make a weapon combo for him. As I said, this doesn't count as long as I don't actually attack anyone with the weapon. I can get a cleaver really easily upstairs, but a chainsaw is a little more of a pain in the ass. On the plus side though, I do find this adorable children's frog raincoat, which I am 100% keeping. I eventually managed to find the chainsaw after floundering around for an embarrassingly large amount of time. Bringing it back to Ravi, we make the mini chainsaws and then throw them on the ground in front of him to establish our dominance. I had no safe zones on my map, and assuming I hadn't unlocked them yet or something, I was forced to make the cross-city trip with Ravi tailing behind me, and he had a really bad time. Ravi ended up dying, so I reloaded my last checkpoint and gave it another go. This time Ravi was much more open to life, and even assisted in saving Sheldon before being dropped off at the safe zone. Next on my list was Simon, a man who is losing his mind over losing his tarot cards. They're a little tricky to find, but after some fucking around I collect them all and drop Simon off at the safe zone. Continuing on with the story, I make my way into the sewers and get absolutely destroyed by the Horde. Like, it is a fucking massacre against me, to the point that I almost died. Luckily, I managed to get out in time and continue on to the cemetery to meet with Christine and perform her ritual. All you have to do is kill a zombie over the sigil and you're good to go. After completing this, I was given the choice to interrupt Christine's ritual, so I went and looked up the options. Considering I wanted her to survive, I decided that I would interrupt it. And the moment I unpaused to hit her, She died. She killed herself. It was too late. So, I reload my checkpoint and get lost trying to get back to the sewers for 10 fucking minutes, before finally getting back and beginning Christine's ritual again. The slight wrinkle in my plan this time around, however, is that it's become nighttime. The zombies are more aggressive and harder to kill, and I'm in a fucking cemetery. So, I finish Christine's ritual again and slap some goddamn sense into her, before hustling to the main story mission with no time to drop Christine off. At this point we meet Gary, a mobster looking for a girl under his boss's orders. He agrees to help us find Zombrex if we help him find the corpse he's looking for. Gary also shows us the power of queens, which we will not be using due to having the chemical weapon symbol. Looking around this area, there is no way to get into the morgue other than driving this van over to climb on top of it. Unfortunately, that side objective of not using any vehicles is going to fail at this point, so we'll just have to alter it. Vehicles can be used for transport as long as no zombies are killed while driving them, similar to Dead Rising 2. So, we drive the van over and climb into the morgue, breaking in like the master thief we are. Using a snack I found, we make our first quick step of the game, before allowing Gary inside. Gary, being an absolute unit, kicks the barred door down and we begin to fight our way downstairs. We find the drawer he's looking for and grab the key, opening it up to find nothing inside. Going to the back room, we find the body in a casket. A body that looks suspiciously close to Annie's. The discovery is then made that all the Zombrex has been taken, and Nick resigns himself to simply turn. Gary offers to shoot him to make the suffering go away, but he's not too good with the whole shooting a stationary target thing. In a miraculous turn of events, Nick finds that his zombie bite has healed itself and he's free of infection. Gary stuffs the body into a hearse and asks us to drive her over to a club. Shit. I attempt to drive as carefully as I can without hitting anything, but after some explosions from the goddamn biker gang people, a zombie dies and I reload my checkpoint. Before trying again, I drop Christine at the safe zone and try to drive fast but carefully through obstacles, to avoid the gang members while also avoiding zombies. But it doesn't go great. The interesting thing is that I don't get a fail screen. I go to investigate, and it turns out that if the hearse is destroyed, you can just carry the fucking coffin by hand. And this is incredible news. So I reload again and set about destroying the hearse myself, before wasting my quick step and beginning to carry the casket while defenseless. I avoid as much conflict as possible on the way over, and deliver the casket without much difficulty. And after watching a short news report, we complete Chapter 2. Turns out that body we brought to Gary's boss wasn't the right one, and now we're being asked to turn Annie over to this lot. Moral quandaries aside, I find Elka and Matt in the middle of an argument over guns and food. Not wanting to really kill either of them, I deposit all my healing items into Matt's basket, and now begin my hunt to find 5 guns. First thing I do is test if it's specifically guns she wants, and it most certainly is. I search around for way too long, but eventually manage to find the 5 guns I need and hand them over, thus finishing the side quest. After another sprint across America and helping Brian out, we find ourselves talking to Kenny, a loser who's crying over being too useless to do anything about the zombies. Kenny asks us to prove ourselves by killing 5 zombies without weapons. Oh Kenny, you've come to the right man. Also, spoiler alert, I do not do Kenny's psychopath fight because I didn't realize the final chapter would kill all my side quests. We get on the battlefield and strut our stuff before being told to make a combo weapon for Kenny. I fuck around for a bit before managing to make a sledge saw and completing the side quest. We arrive back to see the team, and Dick comments that Diego and Nick have extremely similar tattoos that neither can remember getting. Sounds like a plot thread if I've ever heard one. Rhonda gives us the info to track down Annie and her group, and I head out. I clear out a safe zone, save Jasmine, and then clear another safe zone, and then make my way to see Hank. He needs us to find him an acetylene tank and a propane tank. The acetylene is really easy to find, but I spend 6 minutes running around like an idiot looking for propane on this forsaken bridge. Eventually I managed to find one, 30 meters away from him. If that wasn't enough pain, Hank still needs some gasoline. Commence another 5 minutes of searching before I eventually find the gas and give it to the bastard. Surprising no one, he blows himself to hell and I continue my hell trek. Finally making it to the hideout, Lauren asks us to find her wedding ring and tattoo kit before she'll let us in. The tattoo kit requires us fighting my absolute least favourite zombies in the game, the football zombies. They're surprisingly tanky and tend to be real pains in the ass when it comes to attacking, especially when the game just lets me get hit despite the attack failing. After clearing them out and getting the tattoo kit, I stopped by and saved Mel on my way to the ring. As if life wasn't bad enough, this safe zone is being guarded by the fucking bikers and their Molotovs. Despite the rage in my chest, they're a lot easier to kill on foot, so I grab the wedding ring and head over to speak to Joey while I'm in the neighborhood. He wants some sexy zombies for a hot and steamy porno, and I am more than happy to oblige. Very easy to lead a bunch of zombies into the studio, and we complete the side quest without difficulty. Heading back to the hideout, we give Laura her things and meet up with Annie at the barrel of a gun. Here we also meet Red, who is really not happy to see Nick's froggy raincoat wear an ass, and tells us of this game's government conspiracy to the surprise of no one. We're tasked with destroying 3 cameras, disabling 2 relays, and burning 2 lots of supplies. This task will take us all over the map, much to my agony, but it'll be done. Arriving at the first camera, you may notice an issue presented to us. We're not quite capable of flying, and we have no sort of ranged attack in our arsenal. So what's a boy to do? Well, we're gonna borrow a technique learned from Off the Record and throw some goddamn healing items at this thing. And to success, it does indeed damage it. The alcohol seemed to do incredible damage compared to the bagel for some reason, but I'm into it. Throwing a final bottle of wine, we destroy the first camera and move on to our second subject. This one's position is slightly interesting, nothing we can't handle with this knowledge under our belts. 2 down, 1 to go. We arrive at the third camera and I line my shot up just like last time and... oh. Must have missed that one. Let's just... okay, maybe I'm just not hitting it right. Alright, maybe I need to hit the box and not the pole. Okay, maybe I'm at the wrong angle. Nope, still not damaging it. What the fuck is going on? So, for some completely unknown reason, this camera is immune to having healing items thrown at it. I have no logical idea why this is, but it just is. I tried every angle, I tried every part of the camera, I tried everything I could think of. I even tried restarting the game to make sure it wasn't some bizarre glitch. I tried looking up an out-of-bounds glitch to get me closer, but the best I could find was one already patched out of the game. Maybe the camera was just broken. In a testing period, I picked up a gun and fired at it, but it was definitely capable of being damaged. I tried throwing weapons at it after that, but got a similar result of taking no damage. So, harkening back to my off-the-record video again, I decided to give Spitfire a go. Unfortunately, it didn't reach far enough to hit the camera from where I could stand, and you could only aim the blast directly in front of you. I tried to figure out somewhere I could drop down onto the camera's ground from, but I couldn't find that either. Next, I tried a forklift, driving it over to the camera to see if I could lift myself high enough to hit the camera, but I was still too short. Next try was an SUV with a similar result. My last ditch effort was grabbing the Feastmobile from my garage and driving it over. Even with the truck, I was still too short to hit the camera. I even tried clipping over the invisible wall to no avail. So, with sadness in my heart and no other option I could think of, I picked up the handgun and fired 6 shots, destroying that cursed camera once and for all. So, our challenge has taken an interesting direction. The game has forced my hand into using a gun to destroy a camera, and there's nothing I could do to stop it. So, let's alter our challenge a little bit. We have to use a vehicle, and we have to use a weapon, but can you beat Dead Rising 3 without using any weapons to kill? Yeah, that's how I'm getting around it. Let's just deal with it and move on. We take another scenic stroll across city, and go about saving 2 of the family members, before bum-rushing the relay protected by the weaponless challenger's favourite enemy, men with guns! We disable the first relay without much issue, before running the hell away to save the other 2 family members. Similar to the first, we rush in, disable the relay, and rush out. Last on our checklist are the supplies, requiring another oh-so-wonderful seaside saunter. The first supply area is pretty easy, just figure a way up and punch the shit out of the supplies to move on. The second supply drop is where things get complicated. We enter the area and find the supplies in front of us. Before we can get the chance to do anything, we're needled in the neck and knocked out. Coming to, Nick finds himself drugged out of his mind, and watching as Albert Contiello works on Alejandra. He freaks the fuck out when Nick jostles his organs, and as Alejandra gets up, we begin to realize the true extent of this fight. During the Albert fight, we cannot run, dodge, or jump, as Nick will just weakly fall over. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing here, so I just kinda wandered around until one of the Alberts acted a little weird and I attacked it. No real strategy, just blind luck. After taking Albert down, we pick up Alejandra and finish our goal of destroying the supplies. I die a little inside as I realize how far I have to walk, with Alejandra just magically disappearing to the safe zone without my control. No clue why, but it works for me. All I have to say is that you should be real happy I'm not subjecting you to every moment of travel, because my god, it is agonizing. After meeting up with Red and Annie, we're sent to the police station to go pick up some evidence to bust the government with. More exciting running later, and we arrive, only to watch as Sergeant Hilda, who has already stolen the data we need, has her men execute a begging man's wife and then breaks his neck herself. After revealing ourselves to her, it's time for more men with guns! They're not that difficult to take down in all honesty. Moving on from them, we round a corner and Hilda lobs a rocket at us, which is just super great. And then these fucking things appear. The prisoner zombies are big and slow, but they're annoying to take down. The second one was just kind of a fun treat. Delightful. After making our way through more soldiers, we use our points to unlock 2 more melee combos, which I'm quite pleased with. And now we move on to the fight with Hilda. A psychopath with guns is usually a really bad time for us, but again, I don't actually end up having too much trouble with her. Wait out her gunshots, get close, combo the shit out of her. Eventually she'll call more soldiers in, but they're minor annoyances at best. It's not too long before we kill Hilda, and collect the data we needed. I save Trevor on the way to meet Red and Annie, and a fun conversation about fighting for family comes up. Red apologizes for being a dick, which is nice, and tells us he's gonna get that plane fuel we need. And with that, we're once again let loose to do whatever while we await Red's fuel, as if the chapter wasn't already densely packed enough. I do manage to complete my outfit for the game though. Who doesn't love a man in a baseball cap, aviator sunglasses, a children's frog raincoat, boxing shorts, and flip-flops? I mean, I sure do. Carrie is the first on my help list, grabbing a briefcase with ease and bringing it back for a very easy survivor pickup. I clear out the nearby safe zone and leave Carrie there, helping the 2 survivors on my way. Next, I stop by Big D, who wanted a combo vehicle. So that's the last we'll be interacting with Big D. I talk with Troy and agree to get his daughter's necklace, being sure to only kill Kent so I can also recruit Jesse. I drop Jesse off before giving Troy the locket and dropping him off as well. By this time, Red is prepared to give me that fuel, so I take another hell trip to go meet with him. I attempt to save Madeline on the way over, but with the way she wasn't using a shotgun, I'm not quite sure she wanted to be saved. And as we arrive back at the hideout, Chapter 3 finally finishes. Chapter 4 begins with Gary raiding the hideout and attempting to kidnap Annie, before a much more professional military raid takes place and Annie is actually kidnapped. Just a bad time for Annie, really. Red shows up and tells us to meet him on the rooftop nearby to their prison compound for a planning meeting. The game brings us on another lovely jaunt, and I consider helping Ryan before realizing he's surrounded by prisoner zombies, and I can't be bothered with that, so sorry Ryan. Checking in with Red, we lay out that there are 3 ways in: brute force, stealth, or disguise. I don't want to brute force my way through the soldiers, and I'm certainly not taking my outfit off, so it looks like we're finding a way in. Honestly, it's an easy compound to break into. They really should fix that. At this point, another cutscene plays, and we watch as Marion and Hemlock fight about bombing the city before the President of the United States is brought into the mix. They shove a robotic worm down her throat and she becomes a zombie on the spot. Rest in peace, Prez. Marion and Hemlock keep fighting about mutations and orphans with tattoos. And eventually Nick throws stealth out the window and we're alerted to everyone. The 2 generators are very easy to break, so it's not long until we're reunited with our friends and also Gary. We get a Wilhelm scream because hell yeah, and we're tasked with getting to the van. The gates close and I get teleported, and now it's a game of beating the shit out of everyone. Upon doing that, the commander shows up and gets his own special health bar and everything. Adam Kane over here is nothing at all, being only slightly better than a standard soldier. With the commander down, everyone loads into the van and buggers off, leading Gary to be very upset with us. It's revealed that people with tattoos like Nick and Diego's have a $5 million bounty on their heads, because we're apparently a part of a terrorist organization. So that's just another problem to add to the pile. Due to being extremely close by, I decided to pop in and deal with Darlene, a psychopath whose speed and slipping ability had me quite concerned. I don't know why though, she went down in a minute and a half. Again, the best tactic to win against these psychopaths is just to brute force yourself at them. No matter what they do or how they attack, run in, punch, get hit, punch some more, get hit, heal, punch some more. It's weirdly easy compared to the shit off the record put me through.
The main problem was trying to hit with
The main
all the
problem
magazines because missing
was
a
the
single
time.
one led to a
24 minutes, I managed to defeat.
So anyway, Darlene dies. Next I speak with Derek, who wants to know just how fast I am. Considering I already do everything on foot, I thought this would be quick and easy. This race was about 5 times longer than I expected it to be. Every time I expected an ending, it didn't come. We win by a pretty sizable margin though and finish the side quest. Another long sprint and I saved Katarina later, I'm at central storage and ready to pick up some plane fuel. I poke around for the right storage locker before coming face to face with this fucking monstrosity, and oh god, it is real bad to look at. This is the King Zombie, and we're going to get, unfortunately, very well acquainted later in this run. So, like always, I get into the fuel car and get out to see what the game tells me. Nope, it really wants me in the fuel car. I mean, that's fine, I can probably just do the hearse trick again and destroy the... If the car takes too much damage, it will blow up and Nick will fail the mission. Ooh. Right. So this is a new pickle. I've been able to find a workaround for all the other vehicle sections so far. But this one, there really isn't a way around it. I can't carry the fuel barrels on foot, I have to drive quite the distance to get the fuel to the plane, and it's not like the zombies are just magically despawned. So what do we do here? Well, we can't beat Dead Rising without using weapons to kill. This fuel car is going to mow down some zombies, so what's our next step? Well, if we can't do it without any of that, let's see how much the game forces us into this corner. How many weapons and vehicle uses does it take to beat Dead Rising 3? Bit of a clunky title, but we'll roll with it. So far we've had to use a van to access the morgue in Chapter 2, and 6 handgun bullets to destroy a camera in Chapter 3. So, with sadness in my heart, I got into the fuel car and began to drive. I tried to avoid zombies wherever possible, but it's quite hard in a giant killing machine. Using my kill count before and after arrival, I killed a total of 168 zombies in the fuel car. Now, of course, these are just my personal numbers, and the numbers are more so just for counting purposes. What we're really looking at is the instances you're forced to use a weapon or vehicle. On that, I would really love to see someone beat any of the moments on this list without vehicles or weapons. Nobody seems to give a shit about this game in comparison to the first two, but it'd be really nice to see. So, moving on from the great fuel car disaster of 2021, we meet up with Rhonda, and she begins to get a little self-reflective, as Hemlock announces that we still only have the 6 days to get out of the city. And with that, Chapter 4 finishes, with me in a sad state about that damn fuel car. We need some parts for the plane to get working, but Diego's wandered off to the museum to be a hero. Time to go hunt him down. Before caring about our friend's safety, however, I got some shit I gotta do. First things first is to stop by my favorite psychopath in Dead Rising 3, Dylan. He is a sick son of a bitch and a real piece of shit, but my god is he entertaining.
One angry daddy.
Now, Dylan and his lust cannon had me concerned for how this fight may go, but he went down in 1 minute. Seriously, 1 minute. His opening cutscene was longer than his fight. Though, to be honest, I guess it's pretty in character for Dylan to go down so easily. I save Eric and Julia, with Eric being instantly sent back to the safe zone, and Julia shortly following. Then the game crashed. That was new. I drop Julia off again and save Steven, beginning another casual walk across the soldier-infested bridge. I leave Nora for dead and head into the police station to meet with Dwayne. He needs a handgun, riot gear, and grenades. I search around the station and don't find anything, so I'm not going to do that. Wave bye-bye to Dwayne, everyone! Heading over to see where Diego's at, he's gone a bit cuckoo and found a spacesuit with a working jetpack. Don't know how that really happened, but sure. He thinks he's dealing with an alien in space, so it's time to knock some sense into him. The fight with Diego had me concerned when I saw how high up he was. But, good thing for us, he's not too good with a jetpack and tends to fall down a lot, which gives us ample time to wail on him. Even when throwing planets and spinning museum pieces into you, he doesn't do too much damage, even if grappling him is a little tough. After the fight, Diego wakes up from his space nightmare and leads us into a zombie outbreak exhibition. We get to see cutouts of Chuck and Frank, even though in this channel's timeline, Frank was the Fortune City hero. Anyway, we find someone with the same tattoo as us who started the 2007 Smithville outbreak, which is just real bad news for us. I hang around and learn a little more about the two previous protagonists before moving on and crossing another damned bridge. Diego lost the key to some bikers, so we kick the shit out of them and take back what's rightfully ours. Considering how close it is, I take a sidebar to go and visit Jerry with Diego, hoping he'll be able to help me out in the fight. Jerry is someone I was particularly scared of. She's buff as fuck and carrying a fucking dumbbell as a weapon. But just like everyone else, she's really easy. She does less than a block of health on her attacks and is really easy to attack. Diego is also quite useless. He got locked outside at first, and even when he was allowed in, he just kinda stood there and threw a punch every so often. Again, without that much difficulty, Jerry is defeated and kills herself. After yet another sprintathon across a bridge, we make it back to the plane in one piece. Diego's acting real weird and scratching at himself, and Hemlock announces martial law across the eastern seaboard, which is bad news for those guys, I guess. Rhonda tells us she needs some time to research parts, and it's time for us to go explore again. I make a plan of attack for the order of side quests to make good use of my travel. First, we meet Marcus, who wants us to destroy 5 vans across the city. We're not going to do that, so Marcus is going to be waiting there for a long time. Next, I talk to Kelsey on the roof, who desperately wants to go back to her family in another city. I try to cut across the bridge directly to the city, but my stupid dum-dum brain forgets how to access it, so I end up going the long way. Despite my efforts of just running away and leaving her for dead, Kelsey gets in some trouble and ends up dying despite my best attempts to heal her, because she just wouldn't take the fucking heal. Reloading and trying again, we get Kelsey to her family meetup this time to find the unfortunate truth that they're all zombified to hell. So we give them an honourable death by smashing their faces in and pick Kelsey up as a survivor. I drop her off to safety and go to meet with Jason and his zombie family. Luckily, I managed to pick up some fish from Kelsey's dinner table and hand that over to immediately complete the side quest. After fucking around to get inside, we find Teddy Lagerfeld Jr. lazing around, barely aware of the zombie virus going on. He has the armory key in his possession, but can't be fucked to give it to us, so he sends his attack drones out to kill us. I don't even bother trying to fight them, instead just quickly going around and destroying the security panels instead. Teddy whines the whole time, but it's a pretty easy fight despite my fears. Before we even get the chance to do anything, Teddy has a heart attack and farts, which is phenomenal. In this moment, I realise that having the key to the armory allows me to just get Dwayne's stuff from there, so I rush over to the station in the next city and hand Dwayne everything he needs. Last thing he wants is the shotgun, which I can also grab from the armory. With the gun-toting Dwayne at our side, we need to drop him off fast. On the rooftop, we meet with Jose, who is enjoying his look at the zombies. He seems to admire that they're just killing and eating indiscriminately. Jose is quite mad at being a gardener, which I understand, so he wants us to collect hunks of meat from zombies? Okay man, sure. I clear out the safe zone nearby and drop Dwayne off, before jumping into the hallway and beginning to wildly kill, till I break away to heal and eventually collect the 5 hunks of meat. And what does Jose do once you hand it over to him? He eats it, of course. He eats zombified flesh. I'm scared of Jose and what he's capable of. After that scarring experience, I head back to Rhonda and close out the chapter. A rich bastard with a plane fetish has all the parts we need, so it's time to head over and help him donate them to us. Before that though, we check with Jorge and hear about the plight of his hot dog stand being destroyed. We take him to a kitchen and he creates the best goddamn hot dog in the world. Out of the 2 Hispanic men we just met in a row, Jose makes me think about the horrors of life while I want Jorge as my dad. We drop Jorge off to safety and ready ourselves for another of Los Perdidos' famous walks across America. But upon arriving at the rich guy's house, we find ourselves locked inside with a fuckload of zombies acting like they're simple corpses. After clearing out the bedroom, we're able to turn the lockdown off and start grabbing the parts. One is in a zombie's hand, while the other 2 are just kinda sitting around. Turns out one was already sent away on a courier though, so now we've got another fun hike ahead of us. We grab the wheel without issue and run all the goddamn way back. It's moments like this I really think about how easy Off the Record was to navigate. Arriving back at the plane, we deliver the parts and find out that the plane is very much in working order. Rhonda, on the other hand, is still thinking about her ex, and decides she's going to go back to her garage and figure out what to do next. The moment we head to grab Annie and the gang, however, we're raided by the military again and captured, which is kind of a running theme at this point. We find ourselves at Marion's mercy, which honestly isn't that much, and Diego is activated.
What's it doing?
It's really not pretty. Diego is killed in this really fucked up way that he didn't deserve, and with the strength Nick's accumulated throughout this challenge, he's able to pull himself from the restraints and start his grand escape. God, Diego got fucked up. All our healing items have been taken, so it's time to stock up on pills. Upon going downstairs, we find that Isabella from Dead Rising 1 is down here, and she's here to drop some sick plot on us. Later. She gets transported up the elevator, and we're left here to fight Marion and her loader arms. The first isn't too hard, just learning the mechanics of the fight and what it can do to us. After moving on to Loader 2, we find out that Loader 2 is quite angry about everything and refuses to go down. Zombies are released using our body, and eventually, due to being slow, the entire fucking arena catches fire. I die for the first time in this game. Reloading back, I take no shit from Loaders 1 through 4, defeating them quickly enough that I can actually stand places without burning. We manage to escape, with Marion being discovered by Hemlock and calling her a With those kind words, Chapter 6 completes. We need to get to the karaoke bar and pick up Annie, and Nick is really angry and full of beans about it. We have to go through the subway station to get where we need to go, and I'm terrible at navigating train stations in real life, let alone here, and guess who decide to rear their ugly heads? It's the fucking bikers. They lock us in with the zombie pack, and we need to unlock the doors. So we find the terminal to unlock said doors, but the power's off. We go downstairs to the breaker and find the wires cut. Fuck's sake. So we find the spool of wire to fix the breaker to turn on the power to fix the terminal to open the goddamn doors. What a fucking waste of time. After finally getting to the karaoke bar, we find that Gary has locked the door in a depressive streak. He won't let us in, and we have two options. Bring him Rhonda, his ex-wife, or kill him. Killing him is a lot easier, but we're going for the S ending, so time for a fucking walk. Upon arriving back at Rhonda's garage, we find that she could be doing a lot better. The soldiers have tortured her and cut her fucking arm off while looking for us, which is just super fucked up. We rush over to Roy's Mart, ignoring all the men trying to gun us down, and grab the first aid kit to stop her bleeding. Rhonda refuses to go anywhere in her current state, so we collect up a few items and build her a sick fucking flamethrower arm. Now it's time for the last of our Rhonda Sprintathons for the game. A touching reunion follows between Gary and Rhonda, and they walk away into the zombie-infested sunset with a giggle on their lips. Hooray? Inside, Gary has Annie tied up and surrounded by zombies, so it's time to do some exterminating. After that's dealt with, we untie Annie and go to meet up with Red. Yet another godforsaken bridge sprint follows, and we meet up with everyone back at the plane. Isabella drops some more plot, which expands more on Carlito and Isabella's backstory from Dead Rising 1. I don't have time to explain or understand it right now, but Carlito infested a bunch of orphans but left one immune. Main point being, Nick is completely immune to the zombie virus, explaining our bite healing itself before. As we go to investigate Red's cries for help, it's revealed to be a trap. Nick uses his martial arts prowess again, but it turns out that Red has turned on everyone for the bounty on Nick's head. Nick makes a threat I wholeheartedly agree with.
I'm gonna kill you with my bare fucking hands, you son of a bitch!
Only for us to be faced with a fucking Crane's health bar. There is unfortunately no way around this. Throwing healing items doesn't work, and there's no way to get up there to punch the weak spots. Unfortunately, we've been foiled by the game again. I went through and counted the bullets that hit frame by frame, and I believe my count came out to 5 RPG rockets, 45 assault rifle bullets, and 43 LMG bullets, which is just an absolute tragedy. There's no strategy here. Just attack the soldiers, heal up, avoid the crane, and shoot. Each bullet makes me feel a little dirtier. After taking down the crane, Red decides to stop being a coward and face me in a one-on-one. Now this I can do. Red has some tricks up his sleeves in terms of grapples and his TK charge, but it's nothing too difficult and we defeat the traitor handedly. All of this caps off with Annie choosing to kiss the blood-soaked man in a children's raincoat and flip-flops before Chuck motherfucking Green shows up to reveal that Annie is actually Katie and we've been played like a damn fiddle. Nick and Chuck get a bit heated, and before long the whole gang is brought back together to get the fuck out of Dodge. Rhonda and Gary choose to stay behind in order to get more survivors out, and we start the plane and head out of Los Perdidos. And that's the end of the game. Yeah, obviously it's not. We still got some fucking Chapter 8, baby. We hear over the radio that Hemlock has some plan to do with harvesting king zombies, so we jump out of the plane and run back into the crowded streets. We track down Hemlock's plane and sit on a rooftop to watch as he fights with Marion once again before pushing her off the edge to her death. Cool. And now it's mission time. Hemlock's plane is moving across the city and using drones to harvest the honey or nectar or whatever the fuck from king zombies. And we have to stop that or he'll have a chemical weapon to wipe out wherever the hell he wants. We have to destroy a total of 60 harvester drones before the bottom bar fills up, and that wouldn't be so difficult if you didn't city jump all the fucking time. The only way we can destroy the harvester drones to any reasonable consistency is to destroy the king zombie once the drone latches on. One solid kick will kill the zombie and blow the drone up with it. Chuck is our companion for this mission, but he's honestly less than useless in a lot of ways. He doesn't attack the drones properly, only having a spiked bat as his weapon, and sometimes he'll actually kill the king zombies before they can be harvested, wasting time and opportunities for us. Killing the king zombies also leads to me being knocked down more often than not, so it's just a bad time. The main difficulty of this mission comes from the fact that if Hemlock makes it to a harvesting area before you, the bottom bar will simply start going up without you being able to do anything to stop it. I tried my best. I really did. But it simply takes too long to be able to get to other cities under this time limit. By the time the bar was nearly full, I had destroyed less than half of the drones, and eventually it was just too much. The bar filled up, Hemlock got away, and I failed. So I had to go back to the drawing board. No matter how well I did at killing the drones, the head start Hemlock gets in each new city area was simply too much of a gap. So I had to look at my vehicle and weapon options again. Vehicles will get me to the cities a lot faster, and are technically lesser weapons depending on how you look at things, but it would cause a shitload of zombie deaths. Using guns would allow me to be able to destroy the harvester drones from a long distance, but would be an explicit use of a weapon, and I'd still have to run to each city. So I decided to go for the vehicles. The cars definitely made getting to the cities easier. I always left Chuck behind because honestly, who needs him? Destroying the harvesters was still difficult, especially with Chuck exploding them sometimes. I even ran into a glitch of some sort, where Chuck had killed all the king zombies in an area, but the game just kept sending harvester drones out to do nothing but stare at us. My only guess is that the game considered our drone kill count for this area to be too low. I tried to throw a bunch of healing items at the drones, but nothing seemed to work. And after I managed to kick 2 of them, the game moved on like normal. Also, while trying to cross the military barricade, I was gunned down and killed while trying to heal myself, because for some reason Nick wouldn't stop punching even with a beer in his hand. On my successful attempt, I managed to maneuver everything just right, and miraculously managed to kick the shit out of 60 drones and complete the objective. In total, my successful clear used 1 hearse, 2 muscle cars, 1 sports car, 1 van, 1 steamroller, and 1 SUV. Totaling 505 zombie kills with these vehicles. It hurts. Finally, the Hemlock fight came, and after all that vehicle use and gun use the game threw at me, it was a fucking fist fight that finished us off. Fine. I can dig it. Let's get this fuck. Hemlock is easy. He's really easy. The only scary parts of his moveset are being able to toss you into a zombie pit and suplexing you. Even then, they only barely do a block of health and he can even be grappled. Honestly, he's nothing new. And with that, Nick kicks him into the chopper blades and Dead Rising 3 finishes with an awkward wave to a passing plane. Hell yeah. And that is Dead Rising 3. So, moving back to our challenge question. No, you can't beat Dead Rising 3 without using vehicles. You can't beat Dead Rising 3 without using weapons, and you can't beat Dead Rising 3 without using weapons to kill. From my experience, there are 5 instances in the game that force you to use a weapon or vehicle. The van to get to the morgue, the handgun to shoot the third camera, the fuel car, the guns to take down the crane, and the vehicles to get to the harvesting points. It's quite sad, really. Off the record, let me get away with a lot, but Dead Rising 3 was certainly not as loving. I do not recommend you do this challenge. The running from city to city alone makes it a nightmare, but the soul-crushing feeling of having to use those 5 instances is just sad. So please, don't do this challenge and just enjoy the game the way it was meant to be played. And that is going to do it for this video, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you've stuck with me since last year, then I really can't thank you enough. I'm not going to put a time on when my next video will come out, nor is it likely to be another Dead Rising challenge. Either way though, I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you, and goodbye.